We never know where life will lead us or what may hinder us along the way. But while every day can feel like one big question mark, it doesn't have to. With the right insights, strategies, and solutions from Western and Southern Financial Group, together we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind.
Salts are cracked, back in studio, Cincinnati, ready to go, wearing matching glasses today.
Yeah, I decided to wear mine so that the viewers
they look
can see
very
how
similar.
similar they are. But you know what? So they look similar. And then I was watching the grad school on Twitter yesterday, and Tresh pops up with damn near identical glasses.
Dude, PFF _ Anthony or Anthony Tresh goes on with Bruce Gradkowski on Twitter, and he does have very similar looking glasses. Quinn,
I mean, like,
you
his
could
look
put up the picture.
Identical, yeah, Quinn.
And this is good to know, too, because I actually am about to buy some new glasses, and I was looking at something strikingly similar. Now I can't get it because I can't be the fourth guy in the office to show up with those
I've had this
glasses,
take about
so
them,
no.
and I don't think I can get off of it. It's that, and I'm going to look at the camera here. I think I look like I own a library or I volunteer at a very nice one. I feel like that's the look.
Library. Libraries are like public.
No, I own a library in my own home. It's like a little private lib with a lot of really good books. That's what I think the look I'm working with right now is.
No, I think.
Or I volunteer at a really nice one.
You look a little mysterious. If you wore a suit, you'd be mysterious.
I might wear a suit.
Yeah.
What kind of suits do you have? I want to match you. I do think yours are a little bit more circular.
Mine are. Yeah, I mean, they're different, but they're similar. Tresh's, though, were identical. Tresh bought the exact same glasses.
You hate to see it. You honestly hate to see it, but best form of flattery, right?
I know. I'm trendsetter, office trendsetter.
All right, I'm going to look at your mock draft now. I'm not going to read every single pick in your 3-round mock draft, and I know you said this was an absolute grind, but I'm going to highlight some notables in this one, some ones that maybe we haven't seen, some picks that we haven't seen, starting with the New England
I'm trying
Patriots.
to find it right now, because if I go to mock drafts on PFF.com.
Oh, I need to fix that. That's on me. That's on me.
It's not even 16 days ago. Whew.
I apologize. The first pick I want to highlight, though, is the New England Patriots trading up from 15 to 9 with the Denver Broncos to grab quarterback Mac Jones of Alabama. I've heard from multiple people that trading up for Mac Jones feels risky. And for the New England Patriots to do that, to trade up for a quarterback and not get one of the big four, one of the kind of high ceiling, big traits guys, and instead land with Mac Jones, I find that interesting. I don't know if I love that move for the Patriots.
I don't know if I do either, but desperation breeds poor decisions sometimes. And I do think that these guys are all going to go high. I think you see 5 in the top 10. I just think you do. I think you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then someone at that point, because you're going to have Mac Jones start slipping. I do think if he fell to 19, if he fell to 20, Washington and Chicago would pull the trigger respectively. He's not going to go that, he will not get past there. And I do think that this is the class that the Patriots are going to be players in, because I keep saying this roster building, how spending all this money in free agency, second most whatever guaranteed money all time, only works if you have a cheap quarterback. You cannot spend like that in free agency if you're paying your quarterback $30 million a year. If Cam Newton balls out this year, you are paying Cam Newton $30 million a year, and all of a sudden that whole sort of plan of building it crumbles. Now, maybe Bill Belichick only is going to coach 3 more years, and that's his plan, is saying the crumbling is for someone else to deal with. But I do think that they could be in the market for a first-round quarterback. And I had I had a hilarious response to someone had a hilarious response to me, I thought, about the mock draft, saying Bill Belichick can get by with late-round quarterbacks. It's like, oh, I wonder why that is. Because he's had one quarterback for 20 years. Not everyone can get by. That is the outlier that Bill Belichick got by with a late-round quarterback. The vast majority of NFL history, that has not been the case.
I think the interesting thing about Mac Jones is some people yesterday were saying that, he's more of an athlete than people thought. He ran a 4.8. Are you making anything of those pro day numbers for Mac Jones?
I mean, he's like Jared Goff level athlete. Does Jared Goff do anything for you outside?
Jeez, don't make it that broad.
I'm saying does Jared Goff Are you running an option with Jared Goff and feeling good about it?
Does Jared Goff even exist? That's how that question was phrased. It felt
that was
rude.
not okay. I mean, it's just saying Jared Goff as an athlete is not bringing anything to the table.
Yeah.
He can maybe like do a little outside the pocket, but that's not what you're banking on.
Also, athleticism is so much more than your 40 time. Like, I don't know. Regardless, 40 time is not an indication of pure athleticism. I think the other pick I wanted to highlight is New York Giants passing on wide receiver and going cornerback J.C. Horn of South Carolina. I found that interesting because Devontae Smith goes 2 picks later.
Well,
I think a lot of Giants fans are upset about that.
I did it because Dory Jackson had not signed yet, and now he signed. So I possibly regrettable, but I mean, shit, how good would that be to have a secondary that's those 3 guys though? I do think we will see more teams following in the Miami Dolphins' footsteps after how good their defense was last year. They have Xavier Howard. They have Byron Jones. They draft a cornerback in the first round.
No,
3 cornerbacks start for your defense, and especially when you are a man-heavy team. The slot corner in a man-heavy scheme is a lot more valuable than it is in a zone-heavy scheme. Slot corner in a zone-heavy scheme is a glorified linebacker at that point. In a man-heavy scheme, you're the easiest target for someone. Mm-hmm. That is the easiest route to throw. That's where like Tom Brady against man coverage is going to Julian Edelman in the slot. That's like, that's going to happen. That is where, if you're a man heavy scheme, that might be the most valuable sort of position because that's where, that's the easiest throw for a quarterback to make if that guy gets open quickly. So I do think that that's a feasible, but maybe not probable at this point. I think they're sneakily in the mix for offensive line now, the Giants. Like that might be Rashawn Slayer's floor at this point.
I think it's interesting how you have the cornerback class, though. You have the Dallas Cowboys taking Caleb Farley, Virginia Tech at 10, and then the Giants taking J.C. Horn at 11, and then Patrick Surtain of Alabama at 12. I think this came out obviously before.
I was going to say, all the news yesterday really just boned me.
Yeah.
Because Caleb Farley.
Back surgery.
Have
you talked to your dad about that and how big of a deal that is?
I have not yet. Probably should.
You should talk to your dad more.
I'm going to see him this weekend. But I do think that he's going to slowly and steadily, maybe not slowly, swiftly fall down. Like a guy with multiple back issues, you're not drafting in the first round that high. Yeah, I don't care how good his tape is. His tape's great, but he sat out a year and he has back issues. That's just going to be too many red flags for a team to really want to go in on. He might fall out of the first round altogether with issues like that. It just is the case. No one wants to have that first round pick that can't see the football field ever.
True. What about, so Patrick Surtain had like a hell of a day at his pro day. Obviously, some of those numbers are inflated. I tweeted out his numbers like, oh my God, at a pro day, it doesn't matter. He might as well just not done it. It's like, no, wait a second. Not only were those numbers good, even if you factor in like some levels of error, like they were very good for Patrick Surtain. Yeah. Like he is a much better athlete than I expected. Those are better numbers than I expected, even with the pro day included. Like those are better numbers than I expected. I would say he is a lock to be the first cornerback off the board.
Ooh. I wouldn't say he's a lock.
Really?
I think you can see. I think Farley will not be the first cornerback off the board, but I think there's a world where J.C. Horn's first cornerback.
Really?
Off the board too. I think they're different players, and what the skill sets they bring to the table and how they play the game of football that you could fall in love with J.C. Horn's tape. So that one's still kind of up in the air. I am curious to see how they do come off the board though, because I think no one's really said any of them are going top 10, but like I don't think anyone saw C.J. Henderson going top 10 last year, and they ended up going 9th overall. So I could see one of them sneaking in.
Do you think, we're sticking on the Giants pick, you have them taking J.C. Horn of South Carolina, passing on Devontae Smith, who goes to the Chargers 2 picks later. Do you think the signing of Kenny Galladay, I know you said this was before Dory Jackson signing, but this was after the Kenny Galladay signing. Do you think that gets them out of wide receiver at 11? I still think that like Jalen Waddle at 11 to pair with Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton,
it would be awesome.
Shepard.
I would not be out of it personally. I do think that Dave Gettleman's in a job-saving mode. Like he's one of the GMs where like if it doesn't happen again this year, he's probably gone. So that's why I think offensive line is where they ultimately go with that pick 11, because that's where you make the biggest incremental increase. One more wide receiver, I don't think is making an incremental increase over a Sterling Shepard, whereas one offensive lineman can make a massive increase over, gosh, I don't know who the hell they're throwing out at right guard at this point. So there you go.
I really like Jason Oweh, edge from Penn State, going to the Cleveland Browns at 26. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars grabbing Terrace Marshall Jr. of LSU at 25. I think they need to build around Trevor Lawrence and add some more talent. And specifically a guy who can win over the middle of the field. And you saw him have a ton of success in the slot. I think he can play on the outside as well. But the tight end position in Jacksonville is bad. And I think someone was talking to me recently is like,
you know, like Chris Manhertz.
Not a big Chris Manhertz fan.
He's a good run blocker. Which is like ironic because he's a former basketball player. But
someone was asking me, isn't a rookie quarterback's best friend a good tight end? I think Trevor Lawrence's best friend is a guy open 40 yards down the football field because he's going to hit him in stride. And I think Terrace Marshall can do exactly that. DJ Chark can win down the football field. Laviska Shenault Jr. can be this guy that is their yak player and their yak type.
Calling tight ends and running backs best friends is the most overplayed trope in the NFL because, like you said, a quarterback's best friend is having their number one read open every time. It's having their number one read, which is usually your wide receiver, one of your wide receivers. Being able to beat the guy across from him and to get open. That's a good thing to have. Not having the guy who, when your first and second read isn't open, then they're open. That's not a great best friend because that teaches you to get to your check down too quick. That's how you turn into Alex Smith.
Yep.
Can we still say safety blanket? Tight end's a good safety blanket.
Can't say safety blanket.
Can't say safety blanket either.
That's the same trope, and it's.
What about security blanket? Some people mix it, security and safety.
Weighted blanket.
Weighted blanket? Those are actually kind of fire. I didn't know weighted blankets were legit. All right, I'm jumping to the second round now. After passing up, you got running back Najee Harris to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 32.
Yeah.
You wouldn't actually do that if you're the Buccaneers GM. Was this what you think's going to happen?
That's what I think's going to happen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm just making sure. Luxury pick. My God, you know who took a luxury pick at running back last year that won the Super Bowl? Frankly, Kansas City Chiefs.
Hey, they got back to the Super Bowl, so
now stop. I can't do this anymore. They're not taking running. Why don't they take Najee Harris at 31? Chiefs might as well. Not a lot of holes.
Okay, Chiefs, not a lot of holes. But the Bucs don't actually have a lot of holes. They don't have a lot of positions where a guy could see the field right away.
I would take Dylan Radins over him. I'm looking at guys that you have.
I'm just saying though,
Alex Leatherwood, Jackson Carman. Like, why would you not invest in an old offensive line?
But they're not going to start right away is the thing. Like you draft any offensive lineman there, they're not going to start right away. Now,
yeah, the Chiefs
they
probably
said the
same thing.
I know. You're fucking preaching to the choir.
I'm going to be upset with you tonight.
I'm just saying.
Why did I say tonight?
That sounded so.
That was so
interesting
bad
of you.
Oh my God. That was terrible.
But a running back would see the field. A defensive lineman would see the field.
I can't wait for the Bucs to have that rationale.
Feasibly,
well, we just wanted to draft somebody that would see the field, so we grabbed a running back after picking up Leonard Fournette off the street and having him be our feature back. Anyway, moving to the second round, some picks I do like here. I like the Atlanta Falcons grabbing Jalen Phillips.
Can we do picks you don't like? I like them all too.
Okay,
well, I want to disagree a little bit.
All right, here, let me look. I think
the Najee Harris, some more Najee Harris takes.
The Najee Harris one was awful. I also think you have Vic Fangio being an absolute kid in the candy store after already adding a ton of cornerbacks in free agency, getting also Asante Samuel Jr. and Javon Holland at the top of the second round.
Yeah,
talk about path to the field. They've literally signed so many.
This was also before Kareem Jackson re-signed, but
Kareem Jackson, Ronald Darby.
But now, yeah.
I mean, they definitely added a lot there.
That's their type. He's this type of cornerback.
I mean, I know it's his type, but I just don't think they have a path to the field. Looking for more. Davis Mills to the football team at 51? That's a little high. You like Davis Mills?
Is the guy. He's
ahead of Kyle Trask.
He's the guy that I think someone will fall in love with. Any other year, here's a take on Davis Mills. If this was the 2013 quarterback class, and Davis Mills was the only guy, and the top 5 didn't exist in this class, you would hear everyone would be talking about Davis Mills. You'd be hearing he'd be like who's the Cal quarterback who really was just awful. His name was Davis Webb. Okay, I was like, damn, he would be Davis Webb.
San Diego State beat Davis Webb in the year I was covering the team for San Diego State, and it was awesome.
Congrats. But Davis Mills, everyone would be like, oh man, think about what he could be if those guys didn't exist. He would be getting a lot more hype. And I don't think it'd be unwarranted, but 51's about where I'd start to think about a Davis Mills.
You have Kellen Mond going to the Chicago Bears in the third round. I kind of like that. I'm trying to find picks I don't like, but I like that one. Dylan Moses at 87.
I said 3 rounds.
I don't know if Dylan Moses is going in the top 3 rounds. Did you see he has an undisclosed injury that kept him from his pro day? Pro day was what was supposed to put him on day 2.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on. And he's battled some injuries over the past few years. It's going to be kind of tough for him. Nico Collins at 91 to the Browns after grabbing Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think in the 7th or undrafted last year. They're just going to feed those Michigan receivers.
He's a lot better than Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's for damn sure. Like DPJ, freak athlete, was not a skilled receiver. Mm-hmm. Nico kind of is. He is in that mold that we usually don't go for. He's not a true separator, but he has some speed for a big dude, and he has very good ball skills. So I can see the people that love Nico Collins. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but it's just not my cup of tea sort of guy. Kind of like Brian Edwards last year. You're not wrong if you like Brian Edwards. There's things he does really well. Not going to be my cup of tea.
A couple more picks I like because I just can't find any ones I don't really hate, especially in the third round. At that point, you're just like, okay, finding some cool fits. I like Peyton Turner to the Dallas Cowboys at the back end of the third. Andre Sisco to the Ravens at the back end of the third. Tommy Tremble to the Niners to replace Kyle Juszczyk when those void years hit. Big fan of this mock draft. Yep. Go check it out for PFF.com. I would read every single pick if I had the time to do so, but you should just go ahead and check it out on PFF.com.
But we got a lot of offensive linemen to get through here.
We got a lot of offensive linemen to get through here. And then we got interviews with Tre Walker, your guy.
My guy.
And Christian Uphoff of Illinois State.
Did you ask him about the pro day?
I talked to him the day before his pro day.
Oh, no. Did you think you're at fault for his terrible pro day?
I did. I must have rattled him. I don't know what to tell you. I must have rattled him.
I went back and actually watched the tape after that because I was like so floored. I'm like, am I the worst analyst ever for the draft? Jury's still out for that. But, oh my, like the tape does not match any of those numbers. Like the 4.6 is even the 4.6 doesn't match. He is faster than that. I don't know what the heck happened at his pro day. I have a theory. I have all these theories. I have a theory that like he was supposed to transfer to Mississippi State. I don't think he was prepping at all to be doing any of these drills. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh shit, I got to declare for the draft because I'm not eligible.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
I mean, we talked about that a little bit. We talked about how, he was going to transfer to Mississippi State, found out he wasn't eligible, and then I got to go train. And I think that's been part of it. But interesting stuff from Tre Walker. But Tre Walker, when you get to this interview, and I encourage you to listen to the interviews, even though, you don't have to, but you should stay on to the podcast. He is one of the more confident receivers I've talked to. And that's when you talk to a confident receiver, those interviews usually turn out pretty fun. He was like, man, I talk a lot about why do you play, why do you pursue an NFL career? Why do you play? What's your motivation? Dude, was like you could just feel the passion about how much he likes football, which is obviously really, really cool. Let's go now to offensive tackle class, starting with your offensive tackle one, which, by the way, is not Lance Zierlein's tackle one and not Dale Jeremiah's tackle one, and likely not Chris Sims' tackle one at this point. He's probably going to be flipping the script there as well. But
Chris Sims' tackle one, let's take a shot in the dark. Chris Sims' tackle one.
Rashawn Slater.
You like Slater's tackle one? I was going to say Sam Cosmi. Just crazy.
All right. Okay. Your tackle one, though, and the tackle one since really the past 18 months is Penei Sewell of Oregon.
Penei Sewell. All right, let's just go pro, movement skills, con, facing top talent in the Pac-10, Pac-12. Didn't face a lot of pure athletes that actually could test him, but I keep going back to this. He is right now 20 years old. The last time we saw him play football, he was 19 years old. How many offensive line prospects in college football history do you talk about in the era of Penei Sewell after their sophomore seasons, that they are top 3, top 5 picks after their sophomore seasons? Quentin Nelson was not even getting first-round hype until his senior year. He's probably the best offensive line prospect the past 5 years. Not until his senior year. Joe Thomas would have been a first rounder after his junior year. I think he tore his ACL, then came back his senior year. He tore his ACL in the bowl game, actually playing defense, I think I remember. Came back his senior year. That's when he was thought of as Joe Thomas as a prospect. Penei Sewell is thought of in that era, but as a 19-year-old. But the tape that he showed was at 19 years old. These are the guys 22, 21, 23 coming out. That's when you start to think of him as this elite prospect. No, Penei Sewell was that at that age, and I don't think that can be emphasized enough. And in that conversation between Sewell and Slater, it's like one guy, the age difference actually matters a ton along the offensive line when it's such a physically demanding position, when you have to move the guy across from you or not be moved by the guy across from you. When you're capable of doing that, when you're 3 years younger than that guy, imagine what's going to happen when you're actually the man among boys. Then.
Yeah, when you're 22, 23, 24, yes. That is going to be
where he can go. And the crazy thing is he's lost weight since he got to college. He was 360 when he showed up at Oregon.
Really?
Yeah, he was in the 30s. That was his. You were at least in high school was massive. Dropped down to 330, and the dude can move. He's just different. Not saying he's can't miss. I'm kind of saying he can't miss, but not saying that he's a perfect prospect. He is not as good at the game of football as Rashawn Slater is right now. Mm-hmm. But where he could go, it's different than anyone in this class. It's different than even, honestly, anyone in last year's class, in my opinion. But there you have it.
To add some context to his dominance at 19 years old in 2019, he had, so PFF grades every single player on every single play from a scale of -2 to +2. Those positively graded plays being obviously good plays. In the run game, he had the highest percentage of positively graded run blocks of any offensive tackle in a single season we've ever seen. Yeah, since 2014 at 19 years old. Yes, in the Pac-12, but at 19 years old. And that same season had the single best pressure rate allowed on true pass sets, no RPOs, no play action, no screens, of any tackle we've ever seen in a single season. Like, that's how good Penei Sewell has been at 19 years old. So I really don't think, I mean, Rashawn Slater, very good in his own right, has very good true pass set numbers, all that stuff. Yeah. Feet are insane. But man, you factor in what Penei Sewell could do as a run blocker as well. Again, the age is a huge factor. I really do think that, like, this should be more of a no-brainer than it is.
Yeah. And I get why people have Slater higher. Like, Slater is more consistent with this technique. Sewell got by a lot of the times just because he is physically a freak. But, like, again, imagine what he does when that consistency does come with age and with more practice at the position. I'm excited to see where he goes. And that's why I said I don't foresee teams passing on him for a different position player. Yeah. I think he is the first position player drafted in this draft.
And I still think that if the Dolphins don't take him at 3, or say they trade out and a quarterback goes to 3, and the Falcons trade out too as well, and 4 quarterbacks go with the first 4 picks, what is the conversation for the Cincinnati Bengals between Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts, and Jamar Chase?
Kyle Pitts is great, and someone was like, Kyle Pitts is kind of in a similar tier of Sewell in that you're not going to get Kyle Pitts next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now. That's just like the odds of that guy being there, especially at 5. It's a rare. There's a few rare skill sets in this class, but you don't need a Kyle Pitts skill set to win in the NFL. It's nice. You need pass protection to win in the NFL. So,
and I don't think the Riley Reef signing should keep the Cincinnati Bengals from getting.
And it's almost like you owe Joe Burrow at this point. You've thrown countless big contracts to that defense, and you've signed Riley Reef, Quentin Spain, Xavier Su'a-Filo. That's what you've given Joe Burrow along his offensive line. Like, help a brother out. Yep. Yeah, like it's a real thing now. Trying to keep a guy after the Deshaun Watson, after the Russell Wilson, you got to make that quarterback happy, or else he can hold you hostage and he can go. They're not beholden.
That's why you go draft Jamar Chase and get him as friend, who also fits a need.
I think Jamar Chase also is a good security blanket. Let's jump now to Rashawn Slater, the number 2 offensive tackle on PFF's board. And before you start, one of the biggest things you'll hear about Rashawn Slater is his feet. He's a really, really good athlete. Can play inside, can play outside, but also something that everyone brings up.
Chase Young.
He did it well against Chase Young. And you have right here, I have the stats. In 80 pass blocking snaps against Chase Young, Zach Bond, Wisconsin edge, AJ Epinesa, Iowa, Kenny Willekes, who was not as good as those guys, but still an NFL edge defender. And 80 pass blocking snaps against those guys, he allowed 2 pressures, 1 to Bond and 1 to Epinesa. No pressures allowed against Chase Young. That is what you're going to hear when he gets drafted by, say, the Giants or whatever, and they're talking about him. It's going to be, oh man, he did it against Chase Young.
I think what he allowed a pressure to Tyreek Smith, though, in against Jonathan Cooper in that game, even though, like, he didn't go up against Chase Young every snap. He was not. They were rolling away from Chase Young, honestly, like, intentionally in that game. It was not just him versus Chase Young for 80 snaps, and then all of a sudden, I thought that was a little overblown, but he is very good because I didn't think he looked that great against AJ Epinesa, like a guy who that's who you worry about with him at tackle is the guy who has length and who plays with strength, because he is a little on the smaller side for the position and his length is not, like, those are his 2 concerns, are his strength in his lower half and the anchor and pass protection and his length, and those kind of got exposed against Iowa. So that is what I would worry about. I think he's going to be an exceptional guard if someone plays him at guard. I think he can be a very good tackle as well, but he's just not in the tier of Sewell, in my opinion.
All right, let's jump now to tackle 3. Christian Darrisaw of Virginia Tech, also a friend of the podcast. He was on the podcast. One of my favorite offensive linemen in this class to watch, probably after Penei Sewell, because he is, he hurts people. And he may not look the part, in terms, like, sometimes, he looks the part. We've talked about this before. He, lazily beats people into the dirt. Like, I don't know what to say. It's like without effort, he can absolutely brutalize you.
It is crazy to watch his tape because it's not like Slater is 100 miles an hour. He's come flying off the snap, getting into your pay. Like, it looks like a guy who's given 110%. Darisaw is kind of just like comes off, hits you, but then he just throws you, and then he's on top of you, and you're toast. Like he is stronger than you. He has that inbuilt physical advantage, and is just a true hoss. Like that guy is strong. That's the strength you want at the tackle position. You're just not going to be a threat to be bull rushed. You can't go through him. You're going to have to go around him. And despite him being, looking lazy or whatever, like it's more he's just very under control and not overextending himself.
Control is a great word.
And not getting himself in bad positions. That's how he earned the highest grade of any tackle in the Power 5 this past year. So
highest grade, highest overall grade, highest run blocking grade, and highest pass blocking grade of any Power 5 offensive tackle this past year. And I think a comparison I wanted to make was Tevin Jenkins gets brought up as this bully in the run game, and he is. But you can see it and you can kind of feel it with his tenacity on tape. Christian Darisaw will whoop your ass for like a full game and you won't even know. Like somehow you'll come out of it like, man, did that really just happen? I talked to him on the interview. You should go back and listen to that episode. I think it was earlier this month. Talked about his battle against Quincy Roche. And he said, I just showed up ready to play that game. And Quincy Roche. I showed up ready to play and I just knew I was going to beat his ass. And it's like, dude, I fucking love that. I'm ready to run through a wall for you, kid.
And I mean, he did. There's reps where Roche just tries to, high side him. And it's just one hand throw. Just,
man.
I
love that players know that too. Like Christian Darisaw said, I knew that Roche was going to be one of the better edge defenders I faced this year, and I was going to put him in the dirt. Yeah. Like that's just full stop. I'm going to take him down.
And that is the thing with Darisaw. Now, Virginia Tech offense was not drop back pass all the time. It's a lot of RPOs. Was not a ton of him really getting tested on tape, but he faced Roche. He faced the Duke duo. He faced Carlos Basham. He faced the Clemson guy whose name escaped me, Xavier Thomas. He faced a lot of quality edge rushers this past season because there were a lot of quality edge rushers in the ACC. And, like you said, highest grade in the country. So there you have it.
Dude's a monster. All right, let's jump now to, I think we're going to be higher on this guy than anyone. Someone was asking me, why are you so high on Walker Little of Stanford? He's only played one game over the past 2 years. And talking to him on the podcast, another guy we've talked to who you should listen to, he hasn't faced a collegiate pass rusher in practice, in training, in over 18 months. Like, he has not done it. I asked him if that's part of his training process. He's like, I just haven't had the reps. Against some offensive linemen, sure, and like some dummy reps and stuff, but like, it's going to take him some time probably to adjust to the speed of the NFL. He just quite simply hasn't played a ton of football. I love your comp for him, by the way, in the draft guide. I think it's Jared Valdir.
Yeah.
I think it's similar frame. And Jared Valdir had like some really dominant years in the NFL and still gets kind of picked up by random teams in the NFL. But crazy athlete, former 5-star, a better recruit than what? Alex Leatherwood and Jedrick Wills coming in that recruiting class?
So in that recruiting class was Mekhi Becton, Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, Alex Leatherwood, and Jedrick Wills. I did say Jedrick Wills. He had the highest spark score.
Oh, that's right.
So he was the most coming out of high school. I think Alex Leatherwood was the consensus highest rated prospect in that class. But Walker Little, I think he was also a 5-star in that class. And he was, through 2 years, after his sophomore year, he had graded out the best of that bunch. Like, he was very, very good. We just then didn't see him after that.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I thought through the course of his sophomore year, if you watch the tape from the beginning to him towards the end of that year, you saw a ton of improvement in pass blocking tape. In his last 7 games of his career in college, he allowed 1 total pressure in his last 7 games. Didn't allow pressure in that Northwestern game, 6 games down the stretch in 2018. Didn't allow pressure. I thought he was getting a lot better and was going to be there, but it's just like we didn't see it. The fact that we didn't see it, I'm not sure it's obviously meaningful, but I think that also means that he could be one of the best values in this class because offensive linemen, especially when you're that physically gifted, improve every single year. That is one of the positions that if a guy like caps out in terms of his grading, it's often because he does not have the physical tools to make it at the NFL. He has something that is never going to be fixed. Like the guys who are the truly elite athletes continue to improve. It's rare to see them really take a step backwards. So he was going to get better, and he had an 81.2 pass blocking grade as a true sophomore. They rave about him in that program. David Shaw talking about he's the best, started as a true freshman, maybe the best offensive lineman he's ever recruited there. I'm all in. I'm all in on Walker Little as being not in. I think it's that top 3 I feel really good about in this class, and then after that, there's major question marks with the rest of these guys. I think Walker Little is the fourth tackle that I would take in this class.
Man, that is, ahead of Tevin Jenkins, ahead of Dylan Radins, Sam Cosmi, Alex Leatherwood. That's high praise. All right, let's jump now to Tevin Jenkins of Oklahoma State, a guy that another really, really good run blocker, a guy that graded really well this past season for us, also graded really well in pass protection, a really standout season for Tevin Jenkins. And he did it against some dogs too, like Ronnie Perkins. Joseph Asai game is one that everyone brings up against the Texas edge defender. Like he put it on in the Big 12, and rightfully so. I think we'll come off the board in the first round. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers at 24 are probably the floor for him. Like if you're not sprinting the card in, I could see he could go as high as 17 to the Raiders. Like you could see the Raiders getting in on this tackle class and falling in love with Tevin Jenkins.
Yeah. The two kind of knocks. Well, one, he's 23 years old already. So when he's beating up guys, it's like, he's on the older side. You would expect that.
20, what did you say, 23?
Yeah.
23 years old, beating up on Joseph Asai, who's young and raw as hell.
Yeah.
I think that people always bring up, like, why does age matter? I get that a lot on Twitter. I don't know if you do as well, but like, why does age matter in scouting? It's that. It's like 23 years old. Yeah, physical development. You're 23 years old going against a 19 or 20-year-old who is still developing, still learning the game. You're supposed to be good. You're supposed to be better. Yeah. There's a reason that, I don't know. We don't have to get into like muscular development here, and we don't have to get your dad on the podcast, but like, that's why it matters. So many people think, oh, you're still going to be able to draft him and he'll only be like 27 by the time it's his rookie contract. It's like, that's not what matters. It's like, hey, how good were you at 20? Because that's how good fucking Penei Sewell was at 19. You know what I mean? Like, how good were you at 19? That kind of stuff.
Yes. So Tevin Jenkins, he's not the most fleet of foot, but he definitely makes up for it with that level of power that he has in his upper body. It's pretty ridiculous. And what I love is the way he uses his hands. He's independent hand usage in his pass sets, is creative with them. He is not just, throwing wildly there. He is already refined. I think some people might see him as a guard because of his length. It's not exceptional for the position, but I think right tackle, I would just keep him there, and he's going to be solid for you.
All right, Jump. I kind of want to ask you this question, but it's putting you on the spot a little bit. How many of these guys are, compare this class to last year's class? Because a lot of people liked last year's offensive tackle class with Mekhi Becton, Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, and Andrew Thomas all going, inside the top 12, top 13 picks? How many of these guys do you think are top 13 caliber players like we had last year?
So just Sewell and Slater. That's why I think last year's was more top heavy. This year's is better.
Deeper.
A lot deeper.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 first rounders right here. This is how many we're going to get through. Next one's Dylan Radins of North Dakota State. He is ridiculously explosive. That guy comes off the line of scrimmage. He's only like a shade over 300 pounds, which is really well on the small side for an offensive tackle. You don't see a lot of guys holding up in the NFL at that, but he can. And that's like when he went to the Senior Bowl and guys tried to bull rush him, nothing. They didn't get an inch on him. And he goes pro day numbers just off the charts, 34-inch arms, 7.263 cone. Ridiculously good. I think that's the exact same as what Ezra Cleveland had last year, or maybe like a hundredth of a second off. 4.57 shuttle, 9.4 broad jump, 32-inch vertical. This guy is that all-around explosive offensive tackle prospect. And I think what we saw from at the Senior Bowl, again, the junior tape I didn't absolutely love. Like there were some issues on it, but then again, guys develop. And what we saw over the course of that week, highest grade in the one-on-ones, highest grade in practice, highest grade in the game. That's a good base. We saw Titus Howard look good in the week of the Senior Bowl, and he went at 24th overall. He didn't look as good as Dylan Radins did over the course of that week of the Senior Bowl. So I think I don't know if he goes in the first round because there are so many offensive tackle prospects, but he is a first-round offensive tackle prospect.
I'm locking into him going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Him or Sam Cosmi, the guy we'll talk about next, going to the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. I think they want to swing the bat on and off the tackle, and I think both those guys fit what they want to do at that position. I think Tevin Jenkins will be off the board. I think the injury risk and like 2 years not playing football for Walker Little ultimately pushes him to the second round. And at that point, regardless of him being a first-round talent, I don't think he comes off the board in the first. Dylan Radins, Sam Cosmi, I think those guys could be the fit for the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. Let's talk Sam Cosmi a little bit. You know who's going to talk Sam Cosmi later? Me. Talking to him today. Hey. Should be a good one. I remember the first opportunity I had to watch Sam Cosmi was when he went against Kayvon Chason and got kind of battered down a little bit. You saw him lose pretty badly against Kayvon Chason, but you look over the past 2 years, there hasn't been, you could probably count the guys that have been better pass protectors than him on, it's Rashawn Slater and Penei Sewell than Sam Cosmi. That's how good he's been in pass protection on true pass sets. I know the Kayvon Chason game isn't his best, but still you see that ability against other edge defenders in the Big 12. Sam Cosmi has had a ton of success, a lot of athleticism, movement skills, what you need at the offensive tackle position to beat speed in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he had about as elite a pro day as you will see ever. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. You want to find those numbers for his pro day.
Yeah.
Talk about him up a little bit. But the only worry I have is his ability to then sink in his pass sets and not get bull. Like when K'Lavon Chaisson, when a guy who's 240 pounds was consistently bull rushing him and taking him back into the pocket because he struggles to play with leverage. That was the one thing that really is just worrisome to me. But the all-around athleticism, the mirror ability, the strength in his upper body, it's all there. I think he's close. It's those games stick out in my mind, or those reps where he kind of just gets forklifted by a defensive end still stick out in my mind, because that's kind of what was the thing with Jason Spriggs coming out, that I maybe just burned on him because I was a fan of his, because he was a ridiculous all-around athlete and just never ended up happening with him in the NFL. Cosmi's a better prospect than Spriggs, though. It has fewer issues on tape than Spriggs did. So maybe I should get that out of my mind, because I do think Cosmi is still a very, very good prospect and a first-round type of guy.
You're looking at his pro day numbers now: 6'6", 314, 4.84 40-yard dash, 98th percentile, 1.68 10-yard split, 98th percentile, 9.9 broad, 98th percentile, 4.3 20-yard split, 98th percentile, 7.35 cone, 94th percentile. That is a rare dude. At 6'6", 314, holy shit.
I mean, you saw him take that throwback screen against West Virginia back in 2019 and he turned into a tight end. There was indistinguishable between him and every tight end in this class besides Kyle Pitts. That was what it was.
That was when we were still doing segments like Fake ID and like Fake ID Sam Cosmi. It was like 2 years ago.
I think it was 2019. It was okay.
That is 2 years ago.
Maybe it was the Beer Belly play of the week.
Oh, could have been Beer Belly play of the week.
But he's also 1,500 pass blocking snaps in the last 3 years. I just talked about Darisaw and that offense not testing him. Cosmi's been tested. Now, competition always hasn't been great in the Big 12, but he's been tested. He has pass blocked a ton there. And so that's why I think the Cosmi to Chiefs fit is it's going to be a popular one, because he can step in right away. You don't really, a lot that he has to necessarily change to then play on an NFL football field.
All right, let's go to day 2 now. Some of these offensive tackle prospects.
We'll start through a little bit of these.
Yeah, we'll start with Jack Carman, who, another friend of the podcast, a guy that he told me teams view him as a tackle, not a guard. Mm-hmm. And a lot of teams view him as one of their top offensive tackles. So from his opinion, his side, obviously some bias maybe, but he's a tackle and a lot of teams like him.
Yes. Another guy, only 21, true junior coming out. We graded him back in high school when he was at Fairfield here in town, Cincinnati.
So we got to get him out here to Cincinnati.
He did not give a shit. He was Christian Darisaw in high school, where it was just like throwing guys without even really coming out of his stance.
And he actually spoke to that a little bit on the interview about how like he's always just been physically and athletically better than the people he's gone against. And you even saw that at Clemson. Like he rarely saw like legit. Mm-hmm. He said the best pass rusher he's seen over the past 2 years.
Alex
Highsmith of Charlotte, who's now playing, I think, going to start for the Pittsburgh Steelers along the edge. Like that, I think goes to show. Like, Alex Highsmith's great, but like he has not seen a lot of like legit talent in the ACC along the edge, and he's just been objectively better than a lot of guys he's gone against.
Yeah, it dealt with some injury issues this past year, but I love the way he uses his hands. You can tell he's just a naturally coordinated guy who just hasn't really, I think that's the biggest thing there. He hasn't had to develop his skill set, and I think he could have come back to school and been a top 10 pick. That's the level of physical tools we're dealing with. If he showed that, he obviously didn't, obviously chose to come out. I don't think he's going to be a first rounder, but he has that sort of talent, and that like at 330 pounds, the way he leads out in front of screens is different. It's damn near Penei Sewell-esque on what he can do on the move. So big fan of his game. I just think might not be a guy you plug and play day one, which you're going to draft a tackle in the first round that you can't start right away. That's a tough sell. I think he's a guy who maybe it takes a year, but then down the line, you can see him as a quality starter.
Definitely try him at tackle first, too.
He's a tackle. Yeah. 34-inch arms, and he moves well enough. He's definitely a tackle.
I have to break the off-the-tackle discussion to bring up this 3-cone.
Oh, no.
Warren Jackson to Colorado State.
Wait, let me guess. 7'8".
7'8"
Oh, dude, still got it.
That is insane. He is a monster, to be fair. Like, he's a big dude. What, 6'6", 219?
219. But on tape, that's what you worry about. We always say the tall guys, everyone's like,
and he ran a 4.7 40, 4.67 40. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Tight end?
He wasn't even on our board. He was outside the top 250. the tall guys cannot get off the line of scrimmage. Everyone thinks, oh, it's Calvin Johnson. No, you can't move. You can't turn when you're that tall. It's very difficult to do so when you are that height. That's why every point guard in the NBA is 6 foot or shorter, because to get around and be nimble helps to be short.
All righty. Jumping now to...
That might have been aggressive, but continue.
That's good. Alex Leatherwood, Alabama offensive tackle, guy that went to... I was expecting some dominance from Leatherwood at the Senior Bowl. I talked to him, I think, a couple days ago. That'll be on a future podcast. But expecting some dominance from the Senior Bowl. He went out there, showed up, and you just wanted him to be like the best guy there. And Dylan Radins just took the show. But Alex Leatherwood brought up something interesting in that a lot of teams value, and you'll get this on a future episode, but a lot of teams value his versatility. And I didn't think, because he's this long, you think tackle. But he also has reps at guard and good ones.
Started at right guard as a sophomore.
Yeah, started at right guard and then obviously played tackle. And he said biggest strength in this class is his versatility, ability to play inside and outside, and also his fucking resume. Like, he has started in the SEC, multiple positions along the offensive line, and seen legit competition for a long line. He was like listing off like how many first rounders I've gone against. I've gone against a lot of, I'm going to come in and have a lot of experience. I think he's a guy that you draft on day 2, maybe doesn't have the ceiling of some of these other guys, but he's going to come in and start right away.
Yeah. The scary thing with him is that his issue has always been the same and has been fixed. Like, you watch pretty much every pressure he gives up, and it is him getting his hands taken away and opening up the door with his outside leg. And then just letting guys turn the corner on him. Like, he just lets guys have that, and that's going to happen a lot at the NFL, because that's where a lot of rushers win. That's where your best athletes are, off the edge, is trying to get to the edge on you. And if you open up the door that easily, they're just going to do it all day long. So that's the concerning thing to me with him. But he is in himself, like, he has the tools. He is explosive, dude. I think he had a 34-inch vertical yesterday as pro day. Has like 35-inch arms. He has it to play tackle.
Yeah.
It's just that concerning issue continues on his tape, and that's why, like, I'd be scared to draft him day 1 at tackle.
All right, jumping to Liam Eichenberg of Notre Dame, a guy that I think I've seen his name mocked in the first round from a few guys, but I don't know if he ultimately does go in the first round. Give me your thoughts on Liam Eichenberg.
So consistent. I mean, his pass protection technique is like a broken record. That's Notre Dame guys, though. That's what they're known for. The coaching there, you just get the best. And so he is very technically sound. Does not use his hands that well, though. Like, his pass sets are consistent. He can mirror. He plays low, but then his hands are not as good as I would like them to be. I think he's nothing special athletically, but more than good enough to hold up a tackle in the NFL. He's just solid kind of across the board for me. And that's good. Like, I think he's starting tackle in the NFL for a long time, but he's closer to like a Riley Reif than he is who is like a Quentin Nelson. He's just good. That's
fair enough.
Kind of what you're getting.
Can I have a gripe? I have a gripe.
Gripe.
I hate the trope. He's going to play this position in the NFL for a long time. Because how often do people actually fucking follow up with that? It's like, how often do they actually play in the NFL for a long time? No one really knows. It's like I'm not targeting you right now, and I'm not saying it's equal to fun to watch, but like, no one falls up on that. He's gonna be a good guard for the NFL for a long time. It's like no one's gonna back that up. No one's gonna double check you. Yeah, sure. You can say that about any player in this class if you want to. Brady Christensen is gonna be a good offensive lineman in the NFL for a long time. It's like, okay, I don't know if I believe you. We'll see. I'll never back it up. We'll never follow through.
I think that's the opposite of upside.
Yeah, I know it is, but like,
that's the anti-upside.
I still don't think it's a take, though. It's not really. It's not a take because no one's gonna follow up with it. No one's gonna be like, oh wow, how long did he play? Only 6 years? Fuck you.
No, I do think there is something to saying this guy can play in the NFL, can start in the NFL, but that might just be all he is.
Yeah. But I don't think you should drop the. I like that better than the long time.
Yeah.
Like, this guy can start in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's a very good take. I'd like to know that.
There.
But saying he's gonna be starting in the NFL for a long time, I don't know if that's true. Like, I mean, and no one's gonna back you up on it.
Yeah.
Either way, let's jump to James Hudson, Cincinnati offensive tackle. Go Bearcats. University of Cincinnati, Mike Quinn's own. Former defensive tackle for Michigan, transfers to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Has a really successful season with Cincinnati, headbutts a guy in the bowl game.
Oh, my God.
And then gets ejected. His backup comes in, Lauren Metz. Talked to Azeez Ojulari about this. We were laughing on that interview about that guy coming in and trying to block him.
Yeah.
That ultimately loses Cincinnati the game. I hate to open up wounds here. That loses Cincinnati the game. But James Hudson, raw athlete, raw player.
Ojulari probably could have gotten Hudson in his own right.
Not to the level that
but
Metz
not to
was
the level
beat,
that
yeah.
that guy just was a speed.
Okay, but I'm talking too much about Metz and Ojulari. Give me something on James Hudson.
Yeah, he's former defensive lineman, was recruited as defensive lineman in Michigan, only switched to offensive line, I think like 3 years ago, something like that. So he is very raw, but man, you just see the natural athleticism. And the fact that he's kind of getting the job done already, 79.9 pass blocking grade this past year, with really no consistent technique to speak of whatsoever, is very encouraging. That's to me speaks to a high level of natural coordination that a guy has, that he can still get by without kind of just like winging it each snap. And so that's what you see with him. The pass sets are all over the map. Like his feet are kind of a disaster. He's a project. You're not going to step him in. If you put him in at left tackle right away, you're going to have a bad time. It's not going to be fun. But I think there's legitimate reasons that he's raw there, and he is just a very natural athlete that you don't find a lot of guys 6'5", 315 that move the way he does. He's got that sort of planet theory of the good Lord only made so many guys, and a lot of them end up being successful offensive tackles in the NFL.
All right, moving last two day 2 defensive tackles you have listed here. It's offensive tackles. Sorry, I was talking James Hudson. Brady Christensen, BYU offensive tackle, who graded really well this past year, and then also Deontay Smith, I think of East Carolina, that went out and played well at the Senior Bowl and came out of that Senior Bowl with a lot of people talking highly of his games. You thought Quinn Miners rose, and he did probably more than Deontay Smith, but Deontay Smith also saw a decent rise from his performance at the Senior Bowl. So
Christensen may end up being a guard, but he's kind of everything I just said about Liam Eichenberg, just say to a lesser degree about Brady Christensen. He's kind of a very solid player, strong lower half, like has that to his game, not going to be a liability in that regard, despite being just a shade over 300 pounds. Some of the best hands in the draft class, like he gets on you, you're done. But then he didn't play a high-level competition. When he did face some good guys, like Peyton Turner from Houston, got kind of exposed. I do think he ends up ultimately being a guard, but I do think late day 2, more than worth that shot. And then Deontay Smith, ECU, this guy is a tackle through and through, has that ideal tackle build. I think 35-inch arms, just looks like pterodactyl almost, the way he can engulf you with that length. And that helps a lot at tackle. It puts you in a good position on a lot of snaps. You can do a lot of different things that a guy with short arms at offensive tackle cannot do. Very raw, though. I do like what I saw from him at the Senior Bowl, which is why he is where he is on this list. I thought the way he used his hands was a lot better than a lot of long guys. A lot of long guys just look like the wacky waving inflatable tube men, where it's just like they're going everywhere when they're too long like that. But I do think that he at least knows how to use them and is super raw, though, but is worth a third rounder to try to tap in because, again, tackle, the desperation is real. Not a lot of guys have the ability to do it or even come close to doing it in time at the NFL level.
Compare East Carolina's Deontay Smith to former UConn offensive tackle Matt Peart.
Ooh, that's not a bad comparison. I think he's a better athlete. Peart was kind of, he had a dog shit 3-cone, a dog shit short shuttle. He was not a laterally agile. He had the wingspan. And that gets you in the door, and that, again, it helps you out a lot. You don't have to be super agile if you can just clamp down on a guy because they're not going to be able to get around you with that wingspan. I thought Deontay Smith's a little better prospect.
I need that agility. I got short arms. I got to be out there just fucking. Yeah. You want to see some sets later? I'll do some pass sets for you.
I don't.
Okay. Tonight.
Yeah, apparently we're hanging out.
All right, day 3 offensive tackles, then we'll jump to interior offensive linemen here. Got to move quickly.
Yeah, just run through these names and we'll see.
We got Spencer Brown of UNI, Jalen Moore, Stone Forsythe of Florida. I don't know some of these schools.
I said Western Michigan, Jalen Moore. I saw you skip over that one.
Tommy Doyle.
Miami, Ohio.
Josh Ball, formerly Florida State. Then he went to Miami, Ohio. Or Marshall. Cole Van Lanen, Wisconsin. Brendan James of Nebraska. And then Alaric Jackson, Iowa. Adrian Ely
of Oklahoma.
Spencer
Brown's going to get he's the highlight real one here.
Yeah.
Sub 7'3" cone. He is a freak athlete, 6'8". Looks like, it looks like just a tight end on steroids and moves like one. But my Lord, the level of just competent, he's just not good right now. He's just not even close to good. And
he showed up to Northern Iowa like the same frame as you.
Yeah. The guy has put on some weight over the course of his college career. Ridiculously explosive, like all the physical tools built in a lab, but just you're going to have to completely teach him how to play offensive tackle.
The only other notable I will highlight here is one, Stone Forsythe, much higher ranked on Lance Zierlein's board, who played for Florida and also graded really well in pass protection. 2, Josh Ball, undraftable in my opinion. I'm not touching Josh Ball.
He's not good.
His background is also horrendous. He has a pretty bad domestic violence charge on his background that is awful. If you read it, it's in the draft guide. Go check it out. Not good. Not going to speak to
I didn't even like his tape, to be honest, but people are high on him.
But he was like a former 4-star, former 5-star.
The one guy I'll say is interesting here, my favorite word, Jalen Moore from Western Michigan, because he has some just disastrously ugly reps, but the guy has the movement skills, the build, kind of has it all for a tackle, and when he puts it all together, it looks really good. Like Spencer Brown has it all, he just never really puts it all together. Jalen Moore, you'll see it. You'll see the flashes, but then you'll also see him just completely on his face in his pass sets. I'm guessing probably hasn't gotten the best offensive line coaching at Western Michigan. Not exactly sure, but I'm just intrigued by what he could become, Jalen Moore, of any of these day 3 guys.
All right, let's now jump to interior offensive line, starting with your best interior offensive lineman in this class, Elijah Vera Tucker.
Only day 1 guy.
Day 1 guy, Elijah Vera Tucker of USC.
It's just ridiculously steady. It's the best word to steadiness is his biggest problem.
Consistent.
He, snap after snap, gets where he needs to be, gets his hands where they need to be.
I love the voice you're using right now.
I'm steady. But he's just not super elite athlete, not long enough to hold up a tackle, in my opinion. Like Kayvon Thibodeau exposed him at tackle and exposed why length matters at tackle when you are super short.
Is it Thibodeau or Thibodeau? I think it's Thibodeau.
Thibodeau.
He exposed a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's going to be a guy we're talking about next year a lot.
Yeah, he was.
Or this year.
If you saw or listened to the mailbag pod, he was a blue chip for next year. But Elijah Vera Tucker, plug and play, guard, not going to have to worry about him. He's very, very good.
Do you think he ultimately goes inside the first 20 picks, 25? What do you think a landing spot is for him?
That's a good question. Maybe the Bears.
I think Raiders, man. I think Raiders another team. I think Raiders are going to not necessarily reach, but they're going to go get their guy along the offensive line. It's not going to be the consensus best available. They're going to go get their guy at 17, like they have for the past 3 or 4 years.
Get Richie Incognito to mentor him too.
Perfect guy.
Who else would you want?
Micah Parsons might fit in with Richie Incognito based off his off.
Jesus, okay.
All right, never mind. Moving to day 2, Landon Dickerson, Alabama center.
Yes. So Landon Dickerson's tape would be day 1 were he not to have no ACL in his left knee. I think it's his left knee. But torn his ACL in his left knee twice. Has had other, I think an ankle, maybe a shoulder. I should probably know those. But he's injury history, maybe one of the worst in the entire draft class. That's obviously going to scare teams because, 1, not going to play a super valuable position on the interior. And 2, like you just don't know with that. At that point, he is a walking with, a Frankenstein ACL. That's not something you want at the NFL level. So that's the obvious concern. But man, he ticks the O-line coach boxes like wholesale. O-line coach is watching him just, pulling out the lube, turning it on late at night if they can't go to sleep. That's Landon Dickerson's tape for you.
Social team, don't make that a quote graphic, please. Let's jump now.
You don't want Mike Renner says pull out the lube.
And then Dickerson, Dick, right underneath it.
Quinn, of anyone, loves Dickerson. That he wore 69. Yeah, solid. Yeah. Might get that jersey. All right, could be an option for the Bengals.
Can you explain that joke to me?
No.
Okay.
Bengals, day 2. Go get Dickerson. Get some Dickerson.
Yeah, then he has one ACL and Joe Burrow has one ACL. Together, you can make a whole
ACL
human body. Yeah,
I love that actually.
It's
a really good fit.
You dropped a Frankenstein reference. Let's get Frankenstein here and build a super player.
I'm glad you're talking about Frankenstein as the doctor and not the monster. That was a nice cut there, Quinn. Quinn's smarter than you think. All right, Wyatt Davis, Ohio State.
Wyatt Davis. I love his tape. I think he is a fantastic guard. He legitimately has injury issues himself. He went down in 3 games this past year with a knee. I've heard it is not going to be great for his projection at the NFL. It's never been disclosed exactly what it is, but that's the biggest worry for me. And I thought it impacted his tape. I thought he looked a little labored by that knee injury this past year. His redshirt sophomore tape, if he would have come out in last year's class after his redshirt sophomore year, I thought he would have been the first interior offensive lineman selected in that class. That was excellent. That year he didn't allow a single sack, a single hit. I think he had one loss, one-on-one in pass protection. All the other ones came on stunts or blitzes. He is just as sound as it gets in that regard. Not super dominant, but he has that blend of athleticism, physicality that I think he's going to be very good, just barring that knee injury.
All right, biggest riser, maybe outside of Zach Wilson. Quinn Miners, Wisconsin Whitewater, goes to the Senior Bowl, pops the gut out. His nickname at Wisconsin Whitewater was the Gut. Also a friend of the podcast. That video where he's working out in Canada, he said he was just looking to work out, and you might as well film it. It wasn't like a stunt or anything. It's like, dude, you got to find it. Quarantine does a lot to you. So, Quinn Miners, monster.
Ideal physical traits, too, is the other thing. Kind of difficult to tell on tape when you're going up against the competition you went up against. You kind of throw that out the window, just what he's doing there. But 320 pounds, 4'9", 940, which pro day adjustment, maybe like a 5, but that's still great. 7.54 3 cones, 4.58 shuttle, 903 broad, and a 32-inch vertical. That's just like every single box. And then 33 3/4 arms, 3/8 inch arms, excuse me. That's every single box. That's what you want to see for a guard, for a center, for any interior offensive line position he can play. I thought the fact that he had never played center before, goes to Senior Bowl, and then looks good at center, it just speaks to a level of, again, coordination that I think it takes to be one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL.
Dude, he told me that not only did he never play center before, but he was practicing snapping in like the lobby of the hotel in Mobile, trying to get ready for this game, and then broke his hand. It wasn't snapping. I think he told me Ian Rappaport posted that it was snapping. It was doing something else. I think he like got locked into a pad or something, and then was begging Brian Flores to let him start or let him play. And then he was only allowed to go in, I think, for like a victory formation or something like that. Yeah. So Quinn Miners, dude, absolute stud. I am a big fan of his game. I'm excited to see him
very
go to the NFL.
Ali Marpet-esque in terms of prospect.
Ali Marpettery, I think, is how you'd phrase that.
I like Marpet-esque.
Okay. Marpettery. All right. Kendrick Green. Ooh, man, this guy's pro day was insane. He legitimately, we've been talking about Kendrick Green for a long time. And the first thing you brought up with him, I think it's his strength in the draft guy, is explosiveness. Guy just pops off the tape. Then he goes and runs. He has like 100th percentile broad jump, like for his size. And like, man, he's got, I think you saw a little bit shorter from a percentile perspective compared to other interior offensive linemen, maybe a little bit lighter as well, I think just at 305. But man, this guy can scoot. So, a lot of people are asking him to maybe switch to defensive tackle because, like, I mean, he's got a lot.
Honestly, with that level of athleticism, pull up the numbers.
I'll pull up the numbers. I got you,
but
dog.
He tied Landon Dickerson. He played in 8 games this past season. He tied Landon Dickerson for the most big-time blocks. That's like the pancakes, the high-level blocks in our grading system.
Flames.
Tied Landon Dickerson. Landon Dickerson played 12 games. 2/3 of the amount of snaps, and he tied him for the most big-time blocks in college football. He was only on for a few hundred run block snaps all year, and I think he had 14. Just like that guy blows dudes off the ball and just kills linebackers. I think he's a center. I think it's going to be his best position as center.
He's got short arms.
A little bit of short arms, a little thin frame, but he is just rocked up in that frame. And there's that video of him being able to do the hamstring lunge.
Oh yeah,
where someone holds your.
I can do that too if you want.
Can you? Mm-hmm. Have you ever tried to do one?
No, I've never tried.
They are. I mean, it feels like your hamstring's just going to tear, and you're going down. I can't do one. Not a lot of human beings can do them. You have to be a high level athlete, and he's 315 pounds doing them.
Quinn, could you come over to Mike's place and film us a little bit? Just gonna grease up and do some of that if you're keen.
Oh, that's what you had planned on later?
Yeah, just the hamstring stuff. But Kendrick Green's numbers, I have him right here. 6'2", 305. Ran a 4.8 4-yard dash, 99th percentile among interior offensive linemen, according to PFF's database going back to 1999, I believe. 2.18 second 20-yard split, 97th percentile. 1.69 10-yard split, under that 1.7 mark at 305.
That's insanity.
97th percentile. 36-inch vert, 99th percentile, and a 911 broad, 100th percentile. Like the best.
His 36-inch vert at his weight, that's out of this world.
What's your vert?
In my prime, it was probably around 37. Now it's probably like 32, 33.
Getting old.
Maybe 34. I don't know. We'll see. I can still do those. I can still do a 60-inch box.
Did you see that we might be doing, some of our mutual friends are doing a softball league?
Yeah.
Dude, I only hit nukes.
Do you?
It's just bombs only. Quinn's a big softball guy too. I have to get him involved. Producer Quinn.
I'll play. And it's like Zach Wilson. Anytime any team, any place,
except for Coastal Carolina.
that's me, but with beer league softball.
All down. I don't think it's beer league officially yet, but we will play with beers.
Yeah.
All right, Creed Humphrey, Oklahoma.
Creed Humphrey, he's very steady interior offensive lineman, uses his hands really well. His pro in the draft guy has strong hands. His con in the draft guy has leverage. I honestly think he's a better guard than he is a center. Played center, obviously, his entire college career at Oklahoma. Didn't take a single snap anywhere else, but he's 6'5", 320 pounds. I think this guy could be a versatile guard in the NFL because I do worry about him getting under those stout nose tackles, the Michael Pierces of the world, the 6 foot 340 guys. I think he's just going to struggle with. So I'd love to see him at guard, but I think he's just a very solid player you can plug and play. Next one on this list, Jalen Mayfield, Michigan. Everyone loves Jalen Mayfield.
I think they've cooled off on him, though. Jalen Mayfield was getting mocked at the back end of first rounds, and now I think more and more people are mocking him on day 2 and more considering him a guard than a tackle.
He's explosive. He has the highlight reel blocks as many as anyone else this past year, and he only played 2 games. Not as many as anyone else, but he has a lot of them in 2 games. Like he can throw guys. He has that level of strength and is young, only 20 years old still. Will turn 21 in May. But man, he does not use his hands exceptionally well. His pass sets are just frankly not good. Very raw in that regard. Is probably going to be a guard with his arm length at the NFL. Like I think 32 and like a quarter-inch arms. He's just. We like to see proficiency to draft a guy highly along the offensive line because it's not like what's the best way to say it? Like it's still a skill position. Like it's similar to wide receiver. Like innate skill, there's only so much you can teach a guy skill. Like there's only so many guys. I always use the Steph Curry analogy. It's like you can't teach guys to shoot like Steph Curry. Steph Curry was shooting like Steph Curry when he was in 5th grade. There's only so much you can get there. And I just feel like Mayfield's a little far behind at this point.
Last guy on day 2 you have here is Ben Cleveland, who the pictures I've seen of Ben Cleveland shirt off. I mean, you brought up the lube earlier, but Ben Cleveland has the most insane frame of any offensive lineman in this class. He looks like, you have it listed here. I'm going to go ahead and read it. World's strongest man body. He looks like the guy that you see like all powdered up. I don't know if Quinn can pull up a photo, but when you're powdered up and you're going to pick up one of those big ass balls,
yes,
that is what he looks like. I mean, if you saw him doing that, you would not bat an eye. Like, oh yeah, that's another one of those guys. He's probably from Germany. His name is Frankfurt or something, and he's going to pick up this ball. Frankenstein maybe, but that's what he looks like. We need to fucking pull up a picture of Ben Cleveland.
He's 6'5", 350, and you look at him.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
He's 6'5", 350. You look at him next to Trey Hill, who's the center at Georgia, who is 6'4", 330, and Hill is like noticeably fat. Like you see it in his legs, you see it like kind of hanging out his arms, and Ben Cleveland just looks like another guy. Like he does not have fat on his frame. Like he's not holding extra weight there in the middle of that Georgia offensive line. He is the definition of built different. That guy is a horse.
Quinn, I just dropped the photo in the 2-for-1 Drafts channel. Check that thing out.
Has reportedly done over 50 reps on the bench at 225 at times in his Georgia career. Only did 30 at his pro day, sadly. But that guy is a different level than even anyone in this class in terms of just like how he's built physically.
Dude, what kind of shirts does he wear? Like, honestly, this is a just insane build. He doesn't look human. You see that guy at a bar and you're like, I think that guy's going to hit me later and I'm going to respect it. I don't know. Anyway, what are cons with Ben Cleveland?
The cons with Ben Cleveland is she's a little stiff. Like on the move, him pulling, him getting the second level, he is not quite that. He is a phone booth guard still, even if he is built like, an athlete, does not quite move like one. But he's been exceptional in pass protection over the course of his career. Only 6 pressures allowed this past season. 86.2 pass blocking grade. Has had academic issues at Georgia in the past. Has kind of split time there along the offensive line. But I'm a big fan. I think he's a good day 2 guard in like a gaps game. Money
in the bank. I also think that I can't stop thinking about this picture. If he was on Tinder, which I don't think he is, he has a girlfriend or a fiance potentially. If you were on Tinder and you're a girl and if you saw that body, I think you almost swipe left because it's just too intimidating. It's too scary. I don't want to date fucking Thor. I don't know. Like that, again, all the females that listen to this podcast, which I'm sure are in loads, definitely let me know. Let me know what you think of the Ben Cleveland frame.
And he's like a country boy. They said before he would go hunt he would go hunt before practice.
Come on.
He would wake up at like 4 a.m. and go hunting.
Dude, he's going to go way higher than you think. I mean, dude, you get one Zoom call with Ben Cleveland. I feel like there's going to be a guy that maybe that's who the Raiders take at 17.
Well, he's going to go early because the hunting thing, because football coaches, I feel like, love to hunt. And somebody's going to be like, absolutely. I just want to go hunting with this guy.
Man, he's going to be a social media. I mean, whichever team drafts him, that social media team better flock and make some moves because he's got it all. You know, remember that? Who was it who like hunted a gator in Crocs recently? It was like that video kind of showed up in the offseason. Oh, yeah. Someone, I think it was, I don't know. Regardless, Ben Cleveland's going to be media monster. All right, let's finish up here with the day 3 interior offensive linemen. You have it broken down into guards, centers, and versatile. I'm going to read them each. For the guards, you have Deonte Brown, a.k.a. Cornbread of Alabama, Trey Smith of Tennessee, Aaron Banks, Notre Dame, Larry Borum, Missouri, and then Robert Jones. Don't know the school off the top of my head.
Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee.
So Deonte Brown, he's got no lateral. He's a phone booth through and through. We've talked about how the dude was like 365. He slimmed down for his pro day, got into the 340s, but the weight will be an issue there. The movement skills will be an issue. He will, in my opinion, be scheme limited, even if Alabama did run some outside zone, did do a number of different things. Easier for you to do at the college level with the athletes along the defensive line. I think you get exposed a little bit if you try to do that with him in the NFL. Trey Smith's the one I kind of go back and forth on, Tennessee guy. Super talented, has legitimate reasons with the blood clots in his lungs that he had over the course of the offseasons. Obviously, then COVID this past offseason didn't get that kind of offseason development to his game. So there is something there. But again, another guy who's kind of a plotter, kind of stiff in pass protection, and just has not been that great.
I'm sorry, I have to break this up. I just saw a graphic come across my screen from Fantasy Pros that has a skill chart for Trevor Lawrence, like accuracy 77, arm strength 78, pocket presence 80.
Yeah.
Decision-making is a 76, and mental processing is a 76.5. Tell me what
out of 100?
I need to know. I need to know what the difference is between decision-making and mental processing, one, and also what gives them the 0.5 edge. I need to know.
You act as if that's not PFF grades.
No,
that have like
we don't grade mental processing.
I'm just saying.
Either way, at least there's like a formula to that. I don't know if there's a formula that they're like charting every single game. It's like, yeah, it comes out to a 76.5 mental processing, but it's decision-making a 76. Either way, let's jump to centers.
Maybe it's on a scale of 76 to 76.5.
Oh, that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
All right, centers. You have Drake Jackson, Kentucky, Drew Dalman of Stanford, and Michael Mennett, Penn State.
Is his name Michael? Because if it is, his parents suck because it's spelled Michal.
Yeah, it's Michael.
Whew.
Or it might be Michelle.
That's what I was like.
It's not Michelle.
It might be.
It might be Michelle.
Mennett is like.
Is it
like
Mennett or Mennett?
I don't know. It's not
Fuck, dude. We don't know this guy's name at all. Penn State.
But these guys are. You're not going to play these guys at guard. These are centers, and it's more like usually then they kind of get pigeonholed as zone centers because they're undersized. But I think actually Mennett could play in a number of different schemes. They're all of these guys. I like Drake Jackson probably the best. I thought he improved a lot this year, the Kentucky center, in terms of being able to deal with power, being able to deal with strength and not get overpowered. And I think in his own scheme, he could hold up. But all these guys are kind of in that mold where they're going to have to go to the right spot and you're going to have to protect them a little bit one-on-one in pass protection, which not really the guys you want. Then you want the guys that you don't have to question. They can do it all.
Last one's here on the versatile tier. Robert Hainsey, Notre Dame, David Moore, Grambling State, Josh Myers, Ohio State, Trey Hill, Georgia, and then Jack Anderson, Texas Tech.
Hainsey's the one who's interesting to me because I didn't think he was much of a prospect before this past year. And he obviously played right tackle at Notre Dame. But he improved a ton this past year, was so much more consistent. And I think his tools were never great for an offensive tackle. I thought he was always destined on the interior. Then we went to the Senior Bowl and played center. I thought the consistency in terms of center is not a position where you need high-level tools. You don't have to be like Travis Frederick, the Cowboys center, famously ran the slowest 40 of any guy at the combine that year, and then obviously became a Pro Bowl, All-Pro center for multiple years for the Dallas Cowboys. Athletic testing means almost nothing there. You get by on technique, and I thought his jump leap in that and then the way he played at the Senior Bowl was intriguing to me for what he could do at the center position. The other name I'll throw out here is David Moore, Grambling. physically, he reminds me a lot of Damian Lewis coming out last year, where I'm like, that guy's how big? He was 350 pounds at the Senior Bowl, and it's like, he doesn't look 350 pounds at all. Like, that guy just wakes up at that size. I don't think he could lose weight. Like, he is just a naturally massive dude from his legs to his arms to everything about him. That guy was built to be 330 and holds it really well. The level of competition is going to be a jump for him. But again, another guy who I thought looked good over the week of practices at the Senior Bowl. So those are two intriguing names in your versatile tier of day 3 linemen.
Love it. Offensive line class overview, tackles and guards. Also talks a little mock draft.
We probably lost a lot of listeners there. Not sexy position.
That was a grind. It can be sexy. Don't tell Ben fucking forgetting his last name. Ben Cleveland that. Don't tell Ben Cleveland it's not sexy. All right, that's going to do it for this episode on the offensive line preview. Now we're going to jump to interviews with San Jose State's Tre Walker and Illinois State's Christian Uphoff. Now joining the 2-for-1 Drafts podcast is actually a PFF favorite, man. We've been high on your game for quite some time. Was really, excited to get you on the show. Tre Walker of San Jose State. Great to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
So I want to start with, because I think a lot of reason why people may be sleeping on you in this class or underrating you in this class is because you made that decision to transfer from San Jose State to Mississippi State at some point this year, but then made the pivot to enter the 2021 NFL Draft. What all happened there? What all went down?
Coach Brennan originally thought it was best for me to enter the draft right away, but I felt still had something to prove being underrated. So I wanted to go to the highest level of competition in the SEC and just compete with those guys and just to show everybody that, I can compete with anybody. But unfortunately, I had to have 2 years of eligibility left to transfer to the SEC, which kind of ruined my chances there. Next was the grad transfer, and I had a couple classes left to take. So I just decided to, go give it a shot for my dream. I know I was talented enough, so I'm just working hard to get where I got to go.
Gotcha, man. And are you graduating from San Jose State? You graduating from with a degree?
Yeah, I'm going to be graduating next fall from San Jose State, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha, man. Very cool. Well, how has this training been for your pro day?
It's been good. Like, it's been really eye-opening and humbling. Just going from working out with a team every day, pushing each other to be great, from pushing myself to be great. It's just it was a big turnaround for me, just especially not making a decision right away to go to the draft and just kind of shifting gears and shifting my mental to be a little bit selfish. It was just it's been real fun. I'm working on a lot to get better.
Gotcha, man. And who have you been training with this offseason?
I've been training out with at Tre Walker out in West Hollywood area, and then I work out with Gary and Coach Drake for my speed work, and then got to give my shout out to Coach Finn, who's been helping me get my routes and stuff together.
Very cool, man. That's awesome to see. And I'd be interested to know what weight you played at this past season, and if you're working to a different weight this offseason as you kind of prepare for that pro day.
I played at 172 this season. Past seasons, I've been playing at 172 to 175 for the last 3 years. I'm really trying to get more comfortable with 180, 185, just to go up in that next level and compete with those guys. I really want to put on that 10 to 15 pounds of muscle and, play at that weight.
Gotcha, man. And then when is your pro day? I forget.
It's tomorrow.
Gotcha. Tomorrow, man. Big day. Big day tomorrow. I'm sure some celebration in order. I've talked to a lot of prospects where I say, as soon as I'm done with my pro day, going out with the boys, it's definitely going to have some food and those types of things. So that's awesome to hear, man. I'm happy it is tomorrow and you're getting that behind you. Going back to kind of your career at San Jose State, really, really productive player for them over the past, few years. Honestly, really broke out, I think, in 2019, over 1,100 receiving yards that season, an 86.0 PFF grade that year. What, went into that, you feel, breakout? 116 targets that year after just getting 40 and 57 in the 2 years prior. Do you feel like your game really broke out then, or was it more opportunity kind of striking at San Jose State?
I'll say my first 2 seasons, the offensive scheme, well, really my sophomore year when Coach McGivern joined our program, the offense was really featured around Josh Oliver. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was and I went 3rd round. Our offense was really featured around him. So I was really secondary to him my sophomore year, just, kind of playing behind him until we found the grand scheme. They didn't really know who I was as a player. I was still, upcoming with the staff. They just, uprising.
Mm-hmm.
My junior year, actually, I think going into that offseason, I just really displayed what I can do as far as my route running and just understanding of the offense and what we had going. It was just easier. And I got to give credit to Josh Love because he definitely trusted me a lot more than some of the other guys. And he gave me those opportunities to go out there and play. Just the relationship and bond and trust we had that we built over time. It just happened. Like, I can't really say we planned for it because it was supposed to be me and Bailey both really going out there and doing what we had to do. So it just so happened. It was a lot of targets for me.
Gotcha, man. I'm glad you brought up your route running. I think that's something that, Mike has talked about, my podcast co-host, and also what we feel is like kind of your biggest strength in this receiving class. You know how to get open. You know how to create separation with your route running. Would you say if you put your scouting hat on, that's your kind of biggest separator among some of the other receivers? Do you feel like that's your biggest strength?
Yes, sir. Most definitely. I feel like a lot of the dudes in this draft class, like, not to knock anybody's game, because I feel like they're all great receivers and they all have tremendous athletic ability to go out there and, play the game. But I think what separates myself is just really my understanding of how to get open and what I'm doing and the routes that I'm running. Yeah, I really take pride in running routes as a receiver, the art of it.
I'd be interested to know kind of what goes through at a given game week for you, how much, what film you're watching, how much film you're watching, and how you prepare for like an upcoming cornerback. Because to be that good of a route runner, I'm sure you have to put the work in on film, look at cornerback tendencies, get an understanding of the opposition you're going to be going against. What exactly do you look for on film in a given game week? How does that preparation really pan out?
Well, first and foremost, I always got to get what we're going to do on offense. I got to get the scouting report from the coaches of what they feel like the weak parts in the defense are. And I know, like, for us at San Jose this last year and really the last 2 years, we like to run the ball to get the pass game started, just to, get more defenders in the box. So we get a lot of press coverage. So I feel like press coverage is actually something I have to work on, but I also feel like that's my strong suit because just when they come to the line of scrimmage, I know the little tendencies that I find on film, like, when some corners play cover two, they inside foot might be up coming with a quick jam. So I find like a lot of tendencies and that type of stuff watching film, just with the press coverage, not more so off coverage because it's basic in the collegiate level with, cover four, man-to-man, off coverage. You can't really tell that stuff. But I also watch the NFL guys like Jalen Ramsey and those top-tier corners and see what they do and how I can beat that. So.
Yeah, I've talked to some other receiver prospects in this class that bring up watching NFL corners like Jalen Ramsey and seeing what they're going to be going up against in the NFL. But I'm interested to know, this offseason, have you watched any more film, say, on yourself or NFL wide receivers that you kind of want to pattern your game after?
Yeah, I mean, I critique myself. I'm my hardest critic because I feel like it's always something that I can do better and be better at. I look at a lot of the guys like my size, my weight, and see what those guys do good. And, just kind of put that in my own game. I'm really a huge Odell Jarvis Landry guy. I really like Mike Thomas's art and how he gets open and how he uses his hands on his slant routes. And it's a lot of things that you can take from a lot of guys, like Devontae Adams, even Devontae Smith coming out of Alabama, even some of the art he does. Mm-hmm. I feel like you just gotta put in it, like, just all figure it out in your game, how you play the game. And I feel like I can do pretty much it all. So I'll watch, the 6'5" guys, even to the 5'9" guys.
Yeah, something I'm interested in is kind of your interest or your ability or thought on maybe moving into the slot in the NFL. You played a ton of outside receiver at San Jose State. Do you feel like your game has some of that positional versatility? Do you think you could play the X, the Z, the Y, those different positions on the football field?
Right, yeah. I can play inside for sure. Just based off running routes and having the understanding of the coverages, you can go inside and just, pretty much be dominant there. But I take the pride of going outside and winning over those bigger corners, giving your quarterback always a target, when he feels distressed, he can just go outside and just trust that receiver can make the play. So that's kind of where I feel comfortable at, wherever the receiver feel comfortable at. I know in the NFL it's based off scheme. So I can really, really fitting in the slot scheme-wise, just based off my blocking too as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think you have to have that mentality as a receiver that you can win on the outside regardless of your skill set and those things. I think you see that in your film as well, kind of in those one-on-one situations, playing with that kind of alpha mentality. What's your approach to, if a corner starts to talk a lot of trash? I mean, because I think there's a big mental side to corner versus wide receiver, even pass rush versus offensive tackle. What's your approach when you kind of have a corner talking trash, or do you even talk trash yourself?
Oh, yeah, I talk trash. I mean, I think that's the beauty of the game. Like, I know some trash talk is friendly and some trash talk is personal. I think it depends on which one it is, because you can trash talk and, be friendly and want the best for a guy, or you can completely want to dominate the guy across from you. And Coach Renner actually helped me keep a fine line in just playing my game and not really up into that trash talk. But I get excited when the corner starts talking trash, man. It's exciting, man, when you just give them that look. And trying to say too much, like, boy, you know where I'm from.
That's amazing, dude. I love that part of the game as well. Some people shy away from trash talk or, let their game speak for themselves. But I think it's a part of the game. Like, you're trying to, mentally beat down on the guy as well. So I can definitely respect that. Tre, really appreciate the time. We can finish with this one. I'd love to hear what your motivation is to or your why. Some people phrase it like that. What your why or motivation is to continue to play, football at the levels you do, make the sacrifices you do like you are for your pro day and upcoming your career in the NFL. What is your motivation to kind of continue to play this game?
Man, my mom, most and foremost. I remember the day I wanted to quit because I got hit too hard, and she walked me down back to the field and made me point out the guy who hit me too hard, and made me go right back again with him. And then since that day, man, I love the game. And then it's just it's nothing that you can just go out there and hit a dude in the mouth like that, and just play with passion and aggressiveness, and just. Oh man, it just gets me excited talking about the game. It's just, man, that's my why. Just everything, the injuries, the hard work, everything. I can go on and on, man. You got to really love what you're doing to continue it for so long and pursue through all adversity, man. So, I mean, it's not too many people built for this lifestyle, man. And I like to consider myself built different, man. So. Yeah,
that's awesome to hear, man. You could definitely, feel the passion you have for the game and through how you answer that. That's awesome, man. I really wish you the best of luck moving forward, and I appreciate you setting aside the time to jump on the show.
Yep, thank you, man. Appreciate you having me.
Now joining the 2-for-1 Drafts podcast is former Illinois State safety Christian Uphoff. Christian, great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Of course, man. I heard you're out there training for your start on the 40. Your 40 is your pro day is tomorrow. How's that been going so far? The training.
Yeah, man, training's been going great. I've been out in Dallas, Texas, training at Exos. I got a great speed coach. I've been out there for like 3 months now, so I'm expecting good numbers on all my agility training.
Nice, man. And who are some of the prospects that you've been working with, or who's been in your workout group?
Yeah, Jeremiah Owusu, Zaven Collins. Jamar, Najee, Zaven Collins. All those, there's a lot of big time guys working out with us.
That's awesome, man. Have you been making any friendships off the field? I'm sure you guys aren't doing a ton of partying or going out to eat because you're training for these pro days, but I'm sure it's been fun to hang out with some of these guys.
Yeah, we get dinner most nights. There's a lot of cool spots to eat. Me, Zaven, Tre, Jeremiah, we all grab dinner, and we just talk about football. One night we were at this place called North Italia, and Michael Irvin was there eating dinner with his wife, and he came over to our table and was talking to us, gave us this cool speech, and gave us his number, told him to hit him up if we ever needed anything. So that was pretty dope. That's
awesome, man. Very cool. Michael Irvin, speech at dinner. You love to see that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I got goosebumps.
Right here, I saw you listed, and I think it's cool, to talk about this kind of stuff when you're training. I saw you're listed at 6'3", 195. What weight are you? What weight did you play the season at in 2019, and then what weight are you working up to now?
Yeah, in 2019, I played at like 195 to like 200 in that range. The weight I'm at now, I'm at a solid like 210, 210, like 213, like pretty much like 212. I'll weigh in and I'll just weigh like 212 every time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I feel comfortable at my weight. I feel pretty fast at my weight. I think I was just born with my speed, so the weight's not really affecting that at all.
Nice, man.
But yeah, I'm just trying to work to like 215, 210 range in between there.
And did you get that feedback from NFL teams maybe at the Senior Bowl to work up from that 195 to 210 range, or did you just want to add the weight?
I was just adding the weight from 2019 season to 2020 season for Illinois State.
Mm-hmm.
I was at like fall camp in 2020. I was probably like 205.
Gotcha.
So then after that, I went to Exos and I gained some more pounds. And the scouts didn't really say a lot about my weight. I mean, they were happy with my weight. They didn't say I needed to get bigger or anything like that.
Gotcha. Talk to me more about the experience you had at the Senior Bowl. I know you got a lot of praise from some of the other players down there in Mobile and some coaches as well. What was some of the feedback that you got from the coaches at the Senior Bowl? I'm sure you talked to a lot of scouts there as well. And talk to me really about that overall experience.
Yeah, man, that experience was awesome. It was so cool being in there with that group of guys, being with the Miami Dolphins coach, staff coach Flores. He's a great coach. He's a good dude. Had a lot of good guys on my team, Ian Book, Sam Ellinger, a lot of good dudes. But yeah, really, it was just super awesome, super humbling just to be around all those great players.
Go ahead. I'm
sorry, you can go.
What I was going to bring also say is that something that I feel like is a strength for you is obviously your movement skills. You're an incredible athlete coming out of Illinois State, but something else I really like about your game is your versatility. Over 200 snaps played at slot corner in 2019, over 200 snaps played in the box, and then over 400 snaps played at deep safety. Also had a ton of success as a kick returner in your collegiate career. Do you feel like versatility is one of those things that really separates you in this class, or something that you feel like is a bigger strength for you? Yeah,
most definitely. I think that there's probably not a safety in this class that can kick return like I can. I'm not saying I'll kick return in the league, but I just think that just shows, like you said, how versatile I am, how much of a good athlete I am, to just catch that ball and just, run like I'm a running back and wide receiver. It's pretty cool. That's probably my favorite thing to do is just get kick returns and run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, kick returning is definitely a specific skill, and you have that for sure. What do you feel like you want to most improve on, or what you want to most prepare for transitioning, obviously, from Illinois State to the pros?
Yeah, I want to probably the main thing I'm trying to improve on is just like my man-to-man coverage on like the slots, because you know how it's different in college. We can push and shove and all that good stuff. But once you get to the NFL, you can't touch them. Mm-hmm. So that's main thing I'm working on, just using my feet instead of my hands. Another thing is approaching the ball in the open field, tackling. I think everybody needs to work on that, but I work on that a lot because I don't want any missed tackles. I want to make every single tackle I can. So those are the two main things.
Gotcha, man. We can finish with this one, and I really appreciate the time, Christian. But what is your motivation to continue to pursue, football as a career and make the sacrifices you have to make to, get this far in your football career, and then obviously pursue the NFL?
Yeah, I would say my family. I got two little brothers that look up to me a lot, and I just want to do this for my family, for my mom. She's been through a lot, single mother, raising two kids, so I just want to be able to take care of her and take care of my family.
Gotcha, man. Family's always first. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate the time. Best of luck moving forward, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wednesday episode of 2-for-1 Drafts in the books. That means tomorrow we are recording our mailbag. Go to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. We are going to get to your question. We're answering like 40 to 50 a week now, or 40 to 50 an episode, and we're doing 2 per week. You guys keep them coming. We might go to 5 episodes a week come April. I don't know. We'll see. Quinn will do it. All right. Until next time, Austin Gayle, producer Mike Quinn, producer Dave Sofaro, Mike Renner, 2-for-1 Drafts.